Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is the fourth video in my series that I am calling Japan is For, where I explore different aspects of Japan according to different people's hobbies. So far I've explored Japan's history and culture, its natural beauty, and last week I looked at Japan's fashion and the just wonderful styles and creativity that you can find across Japan. Absolutely loved that one. But let's see what we're going to be exploring today. So today, the topic of the video is Japan is for foodies! Woohoo! And who doesn't love some good food? Yes! So when I was in Japan, I personally found it quite challenging when finding food to eat. I'm the kind of person that, probably like most people, I like to know what I'm eating. I like to know what's going in my gullet. And when there's not a lot of English menus or translations, it can be pretty difficult to know what you're ordering. So often I would actually rely on the pictures on the menus to try and figure out what it was that these dishes were meant to be. I mean, that one kind of looks like chicken. I mean, it would probably be chicken, right? Even snacks in shops, I couldn't tell what was really inside the packaging. I had to rely on the pictures once again. And there's a 7-Eleven pretty much on every corner in Japan. And the snacks, you know, they look pretty similar to the ones you get in the UK. But of course, I would often eat snacks and realise that there were these fillings or flavours that obviously the pictures don't really show you. And one of these really popular fillings that you will find across Japan is known as anko, which is red bean paste. It's a very traditional, very popular filling, and you can prepare it and cook it in many different ways. But if I'm being honest, I really didn't enjoy it. And I remember I bought these packet of little mini pancakes from 7-Eleven once, and they just looked like some regular little pancakes until I bit into them and realised they were full of this red bean paste. It was not a great surprise, and I just kind of had to nibble around the outside like a little squirrel. One of the traditional sweets of Japan that is filled with anko is known as momiji manju. These are sweet rice cakes traditionally filled with anko, but you can get it with other fillings like chocolate or green tea. And these are a local specialty on the island of Itsukushima, which I have spoken about in previous videos. It's just off the coast of Hiroshima. And these momiji manju are shaped like maple leaves because it represents a famous place in Hiroshima where people like to go and see the maple leaves. The island of Itsukushima is actually really worth a visit. It's really pretty and you get a chance to meet lots of deer. I mentioned that in my video about Japan in nature, so go check that out later if you like. If you're visiting Hiroshima, you should try Japan's traditional savoury pancake known as okonomiyaki. Okonomi means how you like, and yaki means cooked. Means you can have whatever filling takes your fancy, whether it's meat or vegetables, cabbage, cheese, onion. When it's served with a layer of noodles, it's called modonyaki. And this is what I had when I visited this little restaurant nestled in this high tower block. Similar to like a block of flats or apartments, you have to see which floor you want on the outside, and then you take the lift up to where you need to go, and it opens out to this sort of open plan space which is sectioned out into these little open restaurants. It's not something that you get in the UK. You know, restaurants are usually on the ground floor and they're big open spaces, so you know, maybe that's just because we've got more space. I don't know. It was just unusual. It's like a little secret hidden restaurant. If we are talking about traditional Japanese dishes, then we cannot miss out two of the most iconic dishes of them all: sushi and ramen. The more I learn about Japanese culture, all these things that I think are synonymous with Japan actually originated in China, and that is the same for sushi. But this is the fact that blew my mind. So sushi doesn't actually mean raw fish. No, sushi actually refers to a dish of vinegared rice, which is then filled with various toppings, which could be raw fish if you wanted it to be. So sushi was actually originally invented as a means to preserve fish. So it was rice that was fermented, and you would wrap the fish in this fermented rice, and it would keep the fish fresh for a very long time. This was known as nara sushi. And actually, the rice would be thrown away, and it was only the fish that was actually eaten. It was only later in the 16th century when a variant known as namanari sushi was introduced, where you would actually also consume the vinegared rice with the fish. And that's the version of sushi that is more popular today. So sushi doesn't actually refer to the fish, it refers to the vinegared rice. Maybe everyone already knew this and it's just me that's only realising this now. I'm not a seafood lover, which is great when you're in one of the most fish consuming countries in the world. But I thought, hey, when in Rome, eat spaghetti, so in Tokyo eat sushi. Yeah, I didn't need to explain that, did I? So anyway, I decided to go for sushi, and it was not a successful venture. You know, I went straight for the raw fish because I thought that's what sushi needed to be. Did not enjoy it. But you know, maybe now I could go back to a sushi place, try again, but try something that doesn't involve fish, because it doesn't have to be fish, guys. As long as it's got the vinegared rice, sushi can be whatever you like. Okay, let's move swiftly on to ramen, which I am totally on board with. And like most other things, Japanese ramen is actually a variant of a traditional Chinese dish. Ramen literally means pulled noodles and uses Chinese wheat noodles, usually in some sort of broth. Nowadays, every area of Japan has its own way of making ramen with different flavours. I went to this great little place in Tokyo called Ichiran, which is designed to have as little human interaction as possible. Shout out to my friend Dan, who showed me around when I was in Tokyo. Thank you so much. You can check out his music channel here. He's very dramatic. But I love it. So you go to this restaurant, and instead of taking your order from a waiter, it's a vending machine. So you literally like key in your order, you go sit down, and the seats have screens either side of them, basically for solo diners only, I guess. Very COVID safe. So me and my friend would just be like, hey, how you doing? How's your food? Good? But there was also this closed blind in front of me. But the blind just kind of opened part way, and these pair of hands shot out with my bowl of ramen, and they retreated back in, and the blind went back down again, and that was it. That was it. You know, have your food, enjoy, go to town. It was a very strange experience. So, because of Japan's quirky nature, I like to call it a very Instagrammable place. And I really hate using that word, but I just mean that there are so many kind of unusual and different places and experiences to what we're used to that they're just sort of things that you have to capture on camera. You know, it's like Tokyo's weird and wonderful themed cafe culture. You've got the robot restaurant, which has lasers and giant robots and flashy dancers. There's an Alice in Wonderland themed restaurant. There's a Parisian themed cafe. I had to look this one up. It's pretty disturbing from reading the description, and very non-PG, so I'll let you look that one up yourselves. And then you get a few themed cafes which seem pretty dodgy to me. Suneya is a cuddle cafe where you literally pay to sleep on a bed next to a pretty girl. And that's it. That is the entire concept. No funny business, but still pretty creepy if you ask me. And then of course you have the famous maid cafes where you have women as your waitresses dressed up in cosplay, and they do role play at your table and things like that, which, I don't know, just kind of makes me feel a bit... I think it's back to that Kogel thing with the school uniform and stuff, and I just... yeah. But I think the main draw of the maid cafes is that everything is very kawaii. As I mentioned in last week's video, kawaii means cute. And it's a very big thing in Japan. And one of Tokyo's most famous themed cafes is the Kawaii Monster Cafe. This is definitely one of the most Instagrammable places I have been. It's absolutely bonkers. You have to pay just to enter the cafe because they don't want people coming in and just taking photos and then leaving. And it's a highly colourful, trippy place with lots of over-the-top decor and wonderfully styled staff members. Even the food is multicoloured. slightly concerning maybe. And you know, the food isn't like the best quality, but the experience will be burned into your brain for eternity. One more thing. Do you remember earlier when I was talking about how I found it hard to order food in Japan because a lot of the menus weren't in English and I had to rely on pictures? Well, something that is very common in Japan that I think just makes sense is the use of food models. Bear with me, I'm not talking about people standing there holding food. I'm talking about actual food dishes from restaurants that are made into wax so you can see what the dish looks like. And this is exactly the reason that this was invented. So back in the 1920s, Japanese candle makers started making food out of wax so that patrons in restaurants wouldn't have to look at the menu to decide what they wanted to eat. They could literally just see it in front of them, and you will see the streets lined with this fake wax food. But not just food, alcohol, beer, like it's crazy. I think it's awesome. And you can go to Japan and you can find like little souvenirs of tiny little like wax miniature food like on keychains and stuff, and you can also do workshops where you get to make the wax food. I just think that is so fun. I think we should take a leaf out of Japan's book and start doing that here. I think that's cool. Very cool. So guys, we are nearly at the end of this video. I don't know about you, but I am starving. Remember that Tokyo is the city with the highest number of Michelin star restaurants in the world, with 230 restaurants with that coveted prize, and another 200 stars across the rest of Japan. That makes Japan the second highest decorated Michelin star country in the entire world. Do you think you can guess what number 1 is? I'll give you a hint. They're known for being very about their cooking. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse my French. So make sure when you visit Japan, you explore all of the wonderful food that Japan has to offer. I will be back next week, same time, same place, Monday 6 p.m. to explore another aspect of Japan. If you click here, you can go check out my other videos on Japan if you haven't already done so. And as always, feel free to email me at alicesbucket@outlook.com for any suggestions, comments, or questions that you may have. Guys, this has been really fun, but I'm off to go get myself some lunch now. So, see ya!